So there is huge demand and a scope for automation, and I'm seeing that in USA as well. So few of my co-workers, few of my seniors, they are in USA, and they are telling that in USA they are crazy about those people who has very good knowledge in Python, and they are good in automation and those stuff. So we are assuming that this is the time that the market will pick those folks who is very good in the automation, Python, and scripting. So apart from our normal networking job, because we belongs to a networking field, and basically networking field, that the life cycle is, so we have to do the designing, so architect, design, implementation, and then 60 to 65% role is related to operation. So major portion, like it's a big part in operation that is going to be reduced with help of automation. We'll check that. So that's the reason we know that if you see any of the new networking stuffs like SDN related stuff, either SD-WAN or DNA or ACI or any type of SDN solution, it is mentioned there as a key point that okay, operational cost will get reduced. So everywhere we are hearing this, that after doing the deployment of SD-WAN, the overall operational cost will get reduced. Now the question here is that how this operational cost will get reduced. You have any idea? Uh, Always people are telling that OPEX, the fancy term is OPEX, will get reduced. How?
How in the sense like we can make the system centralized so that
Mhm. So OPEX, operational
like
expense, will get decreased. Yeah. The system centralized and those things, it is already there. How this operational cost will get reduced. What is happening in operation? There is bulk of task that is repetitive. That means that someone has to do the same thing every day. Now, if we are doing the same thing every day, or if someone is doing the same repetitive task every day, so that means that some human resource that is going to be used to do the same thing every time. Now, I will show you later on, there is one curve related to automation versus manual, and the automation curve is like this. So, to do the designing for this script and do the planning for this script, it is taking some effort. But once you create your automation script, next time it is going to be very smooth and it's very bottom in the bottom. Although the human type of solution, it is always like it is going in the flat line. So what does it mean? So let me change the color so I can draw here. And there are some famous things related to this. So if I can change the color here, let me go to the green. So humans, things will go like this always. It will not it will decrease, but if number of devices are there, so this can be increased. So suppose if a company is expanding their infra and the network infrastructure, IT infrastructure, so the effort will increase. Rather than in other hand, you will see that if you have the automation script, it will go decrease. So now, how? What we can do in automation is that whatever repetitive task is there, you can create a script for that. So instead of some human is doing those things manually, the script will do that work. But that's not the end of the automation or networking automation. Nowadays, there are so many other cool stuffs as well. So there are so many chat bot or botnet, etc. Means some chat window will come. If you do some wish inside that chat, the automation will kick off. So those type of stuffs are there in the market at the moment, and we can discuss we can discuss about those things as well, but mostly we are going to focus about our SD-WAN stuff. Now, this is very important and you should understand this particular life cycle. So we know that we are in one of the transformation phase where for WAN, for LAN, for data center, we have SDN product. We know about those SDN product. That is one of the phase. Suppose phase one. Now what is phase two? Phase two, that means that these things, uh, when we are doing most of the things with nice fancy GUI inside SDN, still the GUI thing is not that much scalable, because still you have to go and select, say for example, if you can select 100 devices in your production, suppose if you have 3000 devices to manage, and now you are doing the management, suppose if you have to push the configuration to 3000 devices, and in your GUI, in your SDN, you can select only 100 devices at a time. That's the case with DNA. Now that means you have to select 100 devices, and then you have to do that selection 300 times, and then you have to do the push of your template 300 times to those devices. That means you are pushing the configuration to 3000 devices. Now again, if you open the GUI, there may be latency. You are connecting with VPN. It may be slow, so maybe it will take some uh, 5 to 6 hours. Still you have to select those things, and those things, human error may come, so those problems are still there. Now if you do this with the automation and a script like we are doing, it is taking 1 to 2 hours. Now remember one thing, now we are going to learn about some of the standard type of automation uh, that will not include Python. So we know that we are going to do the automation with Python, but that will not include Python with any type of NetMiko, Paramiko, NCC client, those type of stuffs. These type of methods where your script with help of some connectors, some open connectors, they can log into the devices one by one, and they can push the configuration, or they can push some sort of get type of or show type of commands. We are not going to do that because it's still the time lag in bit here. It's almost same that you are doing by the CLI itself. You are logging to the devices and you're running the configuration with CLI. So this stuff is not scalable. It is time consuming, or maybe if your connection will break again, you have to start from zero, or you don't know that up to which point you have done the configuration, and then from where you have to start. So still, even if you're running such type of a script, there are chances that you miss some of the devices, or it will get break, or there may be chance that you have to watch that entire operation. So although you have run the script, but you have to check that it is running or not, it is failing, how much the success, and etc etc. On other hand, if you do the Python, so let me clean this stuffs. I can clean and I can write. Now on the other hand, what we are going to do here is that we are going to use inbuilt APIs, and that's the next phase we have. So we are going to use the Python, or maybe Ansible or Go or any type of language with the API. So the next phase is that we are not going to use Python with old methods, but we are going to use the Python with application programming interface, APIs. Okay, APIs, they are fast and they are working in milliseconds. So suppose if you have to push the configuration to 3000 devices, maybe it will take 30 minutes or 1 hour. It depends again how your DNA and how far your DNA with the endpoints or the networking devices. Okay, so whole idea here is to develop the automation for SDN product, whatever SDN product you have. Remember, if you learn this API at at the rate of maybe Cisco, at the rate of maybe SD-WAN. The same rule apply for ACI, the same rule apply for Epic EM, same rule apply for UCS, same rule is going to apply for any of the product who can understand the APIs. They are almost the same. So now if you go and check the API for, so for example, Epic EM, and if you go and check the APIs for SD-WAN, if you go and check the API for DNA, DNAC, they are same. So these two are at least 100% same. But SD-WAN again, you may have different operation in SD-WAN. So you may have the VS devices, CS devices, you may have certificate management, you may have other things. So for all those other tasks, you have small or maybe big uh, APIs and who can work on behalf of you. Okay, guys, any questions so far?
No.
Yeah, no, Rakesh, good.
Thank you,
And
sure. Sam, you have any doubt?
yes, so you said there are some of the tasks that we can we get a list of all the tasks that we can use this automation to work on with the SD-WAN?
Can we get all the?
Is there a list of tasks that we can
Yeah,
use this
yeah,
automation?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
We have, and it is in in nice format. It is in nice way. So I'll show you that. So that's why we have this thing. And again, once you
So,
learn this script
Mhm.
with respect
one
to SD-WAN,
second, bro. What I
mhm.
Yeah. What I understand from Sham, what he was asking is like a list of
List of
APIs
tasks, yeah,
where
list of APIs
what
is
and all.
asking. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will show later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
So list of tasks, what are the thing we can achieve with API? And that's why you can see here, first of all, what are the APIs? I will show you that. And then I have in day one, we have one thing here, one objective is use cases. So what are the
Okay.
things that you can achieve? And I
Mhm.
will tell you some of the use cases which is almost impossible with the normal day-to-day activity. I'll
Okay.
tell you that, and you can work on those things because those are very much close to the production, and I will tell you that how you can achieve those things. Okay, so I'll come to the use case maybe after 15 minutes. Okay, all right. So yeah, so you have different type of API. So you can think now your API as your new tool to do everything inside the network infrastructure. So I have few slides. Let me go through the slides first, and then I will come to the use cases. And nowadays, actually, presently, I'm working to develop the use cases and the scenarios for my companies. And I will tell you some of the use cases are amazing. Even we can't think those things with normal network activities. It's like impossible that you can do those things with a normal day-to-day operation. Okay. All right. So let's quickly open the slide deck, and I have few slides related to API, and I'm going to share you the link related to the slides, code, tools, everything you will get. All right. So these are the old slides. Just for the reference, I'm going to walk you through these slides just to understand, just to begin with what is the API and how they are working and their utility. They're going to use the method called RESTful API. Now, again, I'm not assuming that you're very good in Python or any type of language. And the goal of this particular class is this, that after this class, whatever classes we have after that, you should do each and every task related to, at least at this point of time, SD-WAN, because obviously I'm going to focus upon the SD-WAN. Now, what type of Python learning you need, I will let you know. And I'm going to share you the code as well. I will explain you about the code as well. And I have my blog as well. I will share you the link of my blog where you will get the kick off a start. You can start from there. You can read those blog anytime you can go through those blog steps, the coding, how to get the lab, everything there in the blog. I will share you the link. All right, so now to make things very easy, I'm going to list something here. So we have our script that is nothing but we are going to use Python, maybe Python for automation. Okay, then we are going to use the method called API. With API, we are going to achieve the task. So this is the programming language that we are going to use, and API is something that is you can think API as you're browsing the website. It's like that, browsing the website. So you have some address, some URL, and then you have some task. So like that, the APIs are working. We'll see that. And then what type of use cases or what type of task we are going to achieve. Okay, so these are the things that we have to achieve, we have to work on together. So the method here is the RESTful API, and this is just a method. I'm not going in very detail about the RESTful API and the call and the procedures because that's not required. So the overall the architecture, you can see that you have your end devices. Now, if you have n number of end devices, it's very difficult to log into individual devices and check the things. So what you can do, that you can use the RESTful API mechanism, and here you can see either you can use some GUI, custom portal, etc. But the best thing here is to integrate them with some of the programming language like Python, Go, Ansible, etc. We are going to focus on Python because anyways Python is serving all the purpose. Remember, you don't need to develop a 2000 line code or 3000 line code like a programmer. But if you learn that with Python, how you can integrate API with the Python, and then how you can complete the task, and that's it. That's the goal achieved. Okay, so only these things we have to focus on. So with API, what are the things we can do? With Python, how we are going to do, and with the task list or use cases, what are the things we are going to achieve. That's the three parameters we have. All right, so if you see here in the diagram, you have your management SDN platform. That's your vManage network management system or servers. With that, you can manage the endpoints, and the tool that we are going to use is the Python or Go. You can check Go as well. That's very easy, like Python. Python, still you have to learn about different things like the variables, strings, integer, those stuffs. But again, those stuffs are still very easy. It's very much like human readable. You can create the logic. So if you are studying Python, if you know, that's well and good. Otherwise, at least you should know if else condition. You should know the for and while loop and the conditions like this. And then if you can understand the string type or dictionary or some of the integer or float, that's it. In API and the networking integration, we need to know this much only. And obviously how to do the printing, how to do the slicing, how to print these things in a tabular format. So tabulate is the format and the CSV. So those things you can do. You can suppose if you have to print the device list, then you can print the device list with their serial number, with their UUID, with their chassis number, etc. And you can generate in tabulate form or table format, or you can generate the Excel sheet. So those things we need to understand. And one last thing is the file operation. File operation means that you may create one folder and you can save those reports inside that file, or you may read from that file all the IP or host name, and then you can use those inputs somewhere in the program logic. Okay, so file operation you have to check. So this much only you need to learn, and I have full blown code. The code will run anywhere. um, at the moment you will go and give your time, obviously you will understand these things. These things are not very difficult. I'll help you to understand those stuffs. What are the things we can do? What are the tasks we can achieve? Certificate management, configuration device, inventory management, monitoring, real time monitoring, troubleshooting. Now, I'll tell you, security, audit, configuration, difference, management, obviously certificate management, but you can generate n number of different type of reports as well. I'll give you some real life example uh, that you can check. So for example, um, if you have again I'll fix the number as a 3000. So if you have 3000 devices, for example, and if you have 10 different regions and you have 3000 devices, now in your company, if you have baseline, everyone has the baseline configuration, like a standard configuration. Now in your company, if you have baseline configuration, and that baseline configuration you want to compare with 3000 devices. Now these devices, they are using the same global standard configuration or not, you can do it. Correct? That's the one use case. The other use case, different type of report. So user log, user activity, who has done what type of changes, etc., etc. You can go and print in the CSV format or in the table format. You can do it. Correct? Or other example I give you, again you have 3000 devices and all of a sudden you have to push some patches, some 10 lines to all 3000 devices. How you will do? It's impossible with the CL. I think that you log into means it is achievable, but it will take too much of time and the operational resources. So someone has to log into 3000 devices and copy paste the 10 lines. How much time it will take? Even if you write the Python script and if you use NetMiko, Paramiko, still it will take time. But if you do these things with the API, it will be like this: within 30 minutes, 20 minutes, job done. And the accuracy will be 100%. Now, once you have done this job via the Python, obviously you need the log. So what's the time stamp, how, at what time it happened, etc., etc. Correct? So these are just a few use case. Now I told you that I'm going to give you a big use case and a use case that everyone is loving. This is a security audit. What's the use case? Now use case is this, that again you have 3000 devices, and in 3000 devices you have to check the configuration vulnerability, and then you have to check the code or the image vulnerability or iOS vulnerability. How you can do it? So someone has to parse the configuration and give the information, or someone has to check the images. Maybe different devices had different images and images are hitting the bug. Those things are again achievable. You have to manage different type of a spreadsheet, Excel sheets. Oh, so this location has this spreadsheet, manages, track it. Or you can do it with the APIs script and programming within maybe 1 hour. Again, when you are developing the script, it is taking time to develop the script. But once you develop the script, you can use that script anywhere, n number of times. Correct? So that's the big key we have. That's the big benefit we have with the programming and automation. Development phase will take some time, but once you develop the code, then you can use it anywhere. Yeah. Questions?
No, yeah, good.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, also good.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, so yeah, so far we are just talking and talking. I'll go through 4 more slides and I'll show you some lab, and then I'll come back to the agenda for today's session. REST API, these four methods. So get, put, post, delete. Although there are more methods, but these are the main four we can work. So get is nothing like show command. Put means that you can update the object. Delete means you are deleting the object. And post means you are putting the payload, means you are doing some sort of configuration. Okay, so get is related to show command. Put is related to update, some update. So ACL, you have 10 lines and then you are adding one line. So you are not creating new object, but you are doing some sort of update. Post means that you are creating the new object from scratch, and obviously delete means delete. So these are the four very important methods. Those methods are basically related to API and the calls, and those are true with the networking devices as well, because we are going to utilize the APIs. Great. Again, you'll come to know about the things we can do inside the APIs. I will go and cover these things. But before moving further, I just wanted to show you some hands-on things. So let's do a little bit of lab. So if you go to day one, you can see here that we have to learn understand about the SD-WAN introduction. And then I have mentioned about the Postman. So have you worked on Postman? You know what is Postman?
Not in depth.
Okay.
Yeah, that is not in depth, but okay. We have touched on that, but not in depth.
Okay, great. So what is happening here is that Postman is a tool from where you can run execute the API and you can see the result. But the Postman tool that we have is just for the beginners. That means you can check certain APIs, you can go there, you can check the APIs, you can get the idea. But what you want to increase your skills, and then you want to reach to the Python scripting. So whatever things that you can do from Postman, it's very easy to do via the Python script, because again you are integrating API with the Python and you're getting or you're gripping those information. But again, Postman is good first step. You can go install the Postman. I'm going to share you the APIs. You can run those APIs and you can check the information. Correct? So how you can go and install the Postman? It's very easy. Just search Postman. You will get that software, maybe some 3 or 4 MB software. Once you install the Postman, it will look like this. Okay, and here you can see that I have so many things, APIs and all. I'll explain all these things. So you can see that Postman will look like this. So what is exactly this is doing? Let me go and close my APIs calls that I have. You can see the overall dashboard here. On top you have the new thing. You can import, you can do the runner command, you can set the variables. Actually this is nice just to look the basic information. So it is good. Sometimes when we are writing the code, when we are developing the code, so what we are doing, we are going and we want to know what this API is doing. So just to get the quick information, we are running those things inside the Postman, but it's not that you can run those things in Postman. You can run those things inside SD-WAN Swagger, inside DNA API tool. You don't need Postman to run any type of thing, but still it is good and friendly. Okay, so you can see the Postman. If you install, you will get this type of workplace, this type of dashboard. Okay, now once you get this type of dashboard, then what you can do, I'm going to share you some of the folders. Here you can see that I have SD-WAN, Epic, Lab, UCS directory, director actually, and network programmability basics. These folders are there. Now let me delete any of the folder. I'll go and I can delete this. So I can show you that how I can import the folders and I can run the SD-WAN related stuffs. So first of all, what you can do, you can go and import. You have the import key, and then you have the folder option, you have the link, you have the raw text code repository. But because I have folder related to SD-WAN, I can go and choose the folder, and then you can see that I have SD-WAN environment, I have SD-WAN code 2.1. I can import. Now when I have done the import, you can see that there are two things. One was related to the environment variable and one was related to the code. So what does it mean? If I go and expand this folder, you can see inside this folder I have four folder: authentication, SD-WAN fabric, SD-WAN device template, SD-WAN device policy. Correct? Now let me show you these things one by one. So if I go to the authentication, again you can see that we have the post method and we have the get method. Correct? So post means that you are creating new object. Get means you are running some sort of show command. So here you can see that let me go and open here. Let me create some space. So if I go and check the authentication API, you can see what it is, the format of this. If you see this format closely,
Rajneesh, one question.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Can you just go back that, Postman slide?
Yep.
Yeah. In this you have uploaded one folder, right? SD-WAN folder from your laptop, I think, from
Yep.
somewhere in your laptop, right? Local system.
Yeah.
So that folder you have created, how it is like? Is there any kind of lab kind of setup where we have all the SD-WAN devices, everything, and you have uploaded?
Yep. That's a good question. There is a link. There is different places that from where you can get those APIs and you can call. So either you can use local folder to import, or you can point this to the GitHub. From GitHub also you can go and get those links. So I'm going to share those information today.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So Sam, before we'll go move, you have any question?
No, I'm okay.
All right, thank you. So let's go here and see. Now you can see only one line. This line is, let's try to understand this complete line. This is only one line, but it's very interesting line here. It's mean a lot for us. So first of all, you have your method, HTTPS. That's the HTTP secure. We know about that. So whenever we are opening any secure website, we are using HTTPS. Correct? Then we are putting the URL. In this case, we can go and put the vmanage IP address, or maybe vmanage DNS. Correct? So second, you can see that you have the URL. Then third, here you can see that's the port number. Either it can be 443, or if you are using some sort of custom port, you can go and use that also. Maybe if you have any proxy, you can use AT&T. That's the port. Generally, we are not using port because we are assuming either 443 or 8443. Then you have the API method that we are going to invest much time in upcoming sections. So data services, now everywhere you will find some different thing. So in DNA you will find something like API v1 and then the use. In ACI you have some different format. In Epic you have some different format, etc. So now here you can see that if I go and run this particular method, it is going to generate the token. Now once you have the token you can think as a OTP type of thing that will valid for certain duration. So maybe 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour in our SD-WAN. But we know that when we are getting the OTP from the banks, it will be there maybe for 2 minutes or maybe for 5 minutes. So that means that if you have long ongoing program, and it will take more than 5 to 10 minutes. That means your token should be refreshed, or your token should be regenerated. Correct? Okay, so we'll come to that point later on, but yeah, that's a very important line you can see here with respect to API, and this is one of the API building block. This is one of the API. So this API, what it will do, that it will go and generate the token. Now, it's again very interesting and important. Then in our SD-WAN or in any type of API and Python integration, you have this parenthesis, curly braces, correct? They are representing the variable. In programming language, we are telling this as a placeholder or the namespace, correct? So these placeholders are the variables that we have. Uh, that means that this is one of the standard format, and you can put any IP address, any port number with respect to vManage only, and it will run. So in my case, I know that my vManage IP is say 198.1.8, maybe 1.10, and port is 443, but again, either 443 or 8443, that doesn't matter. But this is my URL or this is my IP. Correct. So in that vManage variable, in that port variable, I can assign these real values and then it will work. Correct. So the next question is coming here, that how to assign the values to these variables. Correct. So let's go back to the Postman, and before I do that, I must connect my VPN. So let me check if I have my VPN connected. So here you can see that I'm connecting my VPN and my vManage IP. We know that the vManage IP is 198.1.8.1.10. Correct. This IP I'm going to use as a value inside the variable. So let's go and do that. I'll open my Postman, and once you are inside the Postman, you can see your right hand side on top. You can see a small I here, and here you can see this manage the environment, this button. If you go and click there, you can see these many different variables for different folders are defined. But I am very much interested about Cisco SD-WAN environment. I can go and click there again. It's important to see the path. Redo it. You can go and click there. You can just click one time here and you can see the values. If these values are not set, so vManage IP is 198.1.8.1.10. The username is admin, password is admin. There is no token because I'm going to create the token. I can update and click here. Now on top you can see I have the drop down menu where I can go and select different type of variables. Correct? So now you can see that you have this, and you can click send. Now you can see the API is running, and if you get this status code as 200, that means it's successful. And if I can check the data, so here you can see various method. One is the pretty table. You can go and check the header, you can go and check the body, you can go and check the test setting, etc. So I can go and see here that it is successful. So this particular token generation method is successful, and here you can see that if any problem is there, it will throw an error. We'll see that. Now let me go to the authentication, and if I go and do the authentication, on top you can see that you have the method, you have the vManage and port. Click send. You can see that in the authentication it is generating a new set of token for me. Now this token I can copy because I told you that token will be valid for certain period. If you generate the token next time, it may generate some new token. Now this token, what I will do here is that I can go to my variable. I can go here and I can go and put this. Okay, so you can see that I am putting the token, update it, close this. Next time I'll go to the SD-WAN fabric devices, click to fabric device. You can see on the top, this is your API, vManage port and the data service and device. Click send. You can see the error. It is generating the error here because maybe we'll see that what error it is generating, and then we'll fix it. Now, before I go to error, is it okay? You're able to understand these things?
Yeah, yeah, Ratnesh.
Okay. Again, I'll encourage you to download the Postman, and I'm going to send you the link as well from where you get this folder, so you can do the lab. I'm after this class, and again you can watch the recording as well if you have any issue. All right, so let's go back here, and you can see that you can go to the view console, and then it will tell that, oh, see, you have some issue. And what's the issue? It is taking that token having some issue. Now, if you are doing some core programming, you'll see that basic and this is actually the password in some other codec format. And generally, we are putting we should not put the password in our program. We should use some sort of um, different type of codec. But yeah, it has some issue related to token, and that's why it is failing. You can keep going on these logs, and you can see that what's the issue. It will tell you that why it is failing, where it is failing. So we have some issue related to token, so let's try to fix the authentication and token. Okay, and then we'll move on. So now if I go to the authentication, and again let me quickly go back to the variable. You can see here that the initial value and the current value, and I think there is some problem. So let me quickly see here. So you can see the token here. This is okay. I can scroll down, and if I go here and if I check some header is there. What is this? Should not be there. Oops, I can see it's still. Oh, some old values are there, and now you can see that both values are identical. This is also 1F and this is also up to F. Click update. And now again I go back to the devices and I will send this. Remember, the values are fixed there, means we have fixed the vManage IP in the variable. You can see 198.168.1.10. We have fixed the port as well as a scope. You can see the scope is environment, and then we are running this API. Now again you can see in the bottom that we have, this time we have the success code, that is 200. And if I scroll up, so now you can see that it is generating the pretty table, the raw data. You can go and check the preview. Again, this is the raw. You can see this visualization. So if you are inside the pretty table, again, once you will be become very good in the programming and the APIs, you'll find that you have two field. And I don't want to uh, tell you more stuffs in day number one, but you will find at least two things: header, and you will find the body, or sometimes it is referred as a data. So you have the header field and then you have the body. That's your output, correct? So here you can see the header and then you will see the body. Again, you'll see your output in this type of bracket and then curly braces. Or maybe your output is like so many curly braces inside the box. So we'll see that the JSON format and other format. We'll discuss about that later on. So in day one, I don't want to bombard with all the new things, but we'll come to know. So now if I scroll down here, or if I copy this and if I go to the notepad, and clearly you can see that we have the data now. So we have the data. First of all, you can see that you have the header field. And if I scroll the header field, you can see in our vManage lab, you know that you have the vManage IP, and you can see the system IP and other stuffs. 12, 12, 12, some vSmarts are there, vBonds are there, etc. But we are getting the list of the devices. Whatever devices we have in the lab network, you have list devices. So you're getting the list number of things. Now, one thing I want to tell you here, that the information that you are getting like this, you can note here again. I'm recording this video. You can go back in the recording and you can watch this. Remember this. This is one of the JSON format, starting with this bracket, and then you have curly braces inside that. So this is some sort of payload, and this is the format. Now this curly braces is, again, this is starting and stopping, etc. Now these fields that you are seeing here, you can grep these fields inside the program. So suppose if you have to generate one report where you want only device ID, reachability, and time zone. You don't need all these 200 lines. You need only 3 lines. You can take only those 3 lines and print it. Correct? So that's the power we have with the automation and the programming.
But in device ID, I think we have IP address, right? So for the same kind of lines, you should have 300 times.
Device ID, this is for one device. This is for vManage, like that. If I go here, you can see the device ID for vSmart is different. And then,
Okay. If you have,
yeah.
is those lines equal to number of devices? Okay.
Yeah, means one object we can see. So this is one of the output.
Yeah.
For one device, like that.
Yeah, for one device. Yeah.
Per
Correct.
device.
Got it.
All right. Okay, so likewise, you can go and check the device status. So device and monitoring, you can see the API. Now it's very much like human understandable. So what this API will do, it will tell you the device and their status. So if you go and run this, again, you can get the output. You can check the output here itself, or if you want, you can copy to the notepad and then you can read it. So it is telling the vManage, vBond, good amount of information. See, we are very much interested from here, the data. Leave that header. We are not very much interested about the header. This is the response from the data. So it is telling the device model, the device IP, the ID, the vManage, the status, the site ID, those informations we are getting. Correct? You can see all this information. Then if you go and check the device counter, yeah, feel free to ask the questions. If you have anything, you please ask. Okay, so you
Okay,
can go and
so
check.
yeah, so with this program, let's say I'm on my company's network, and I put in the vManage IP and stuff. With this program, we'll be able to get all the device information as we are doing now, right?
Yeah, you will get all the information. This is 100% running code. Yep. So even what you have to do, you don't need to change anything here in this place. They are well
On the
formatted with the
section folder.
variables. Yeah. You have to go and you have to add your variable. That's it. You can go, you can add the variable, or you can go and you can edit these variables. So you can go here and you can go here and you can edit the variable. That's it. Okay. You please watch this recording. So what I have done, I have generated the token. I have put that token. Then you can go and give your username and password. And then once you give the username password, just make sure that it
Yeah,
is showing
with this
here.
token. with the token, how will I generate that token?
It will generate from here.
Okay. After
Yeah.
the authentication, it will give me the token. Yeah, I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah. So every device will generate their own token. It will generate from here, and then that token you can go and put inside the variable, and then here you can put, and that's it. So your variable is set. Then you can go and check the devices, the device status, the device counter interface. Apart from that, you can go and check the feature template. You can go and check the device template. All those stuffs you can check, and there are many more.
Ratnesh,
Mhm.
one doubt. This token is per API, is it? Or how it is?
This token, so if you watch the recording, I told this token is equivalent to OTP, one time password.
Okay.
So that means that it is valid for SD-WAN, any type of operation, for maybe 5 minutes, for maybe, I think this was 60 minutes by default
Okay.
in
Okay.
SD-WAN in the API. So it will be there for 60 minutes. So this token, if you use tomorrow, maybe it will not work. So what you need to do, it's very easy. You can go to authentication and generate new token. So it was 7AF, and maybe this time it will generate some new. So what it is telling, because I have done some changes here in the variable, so it is not generating that token. So what I can do, I can go and remove this, update it, and then try to generate one more time. See, it is not generating the token now. So that's the problem. So here you can see it's generating from here. It is generating the same token. Maybe it is valid for some duration that is not expired. Okay. So be sure that you can go and generate from here, and then you can go and put that token inside the variable. So that's the step number one. You can go here. Still, I can see one of the token is there. Same token is there, but yeah, you can understand that how I'm doing it. You can also do, and if you do today, then it will be good, because tomorrow you can come back and ask, see, I'm trying and it is working or not working. Okay. Let's go to the feature template and let's check this. Now you can see how easy is this. Once you put all the variables, simply go here and click, and then it will give you all the information. Uh, Make sure that you are checking the data field. So if you go and check the data field, you'll get the information. Template ID, template name, all those good information you'll get. Anyways, these things you will come to know in upcoming session as well, that with program how we can create the template. But this is a good starting point, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, guys, if you have any other question, you please feel free to ask. You can see most of
No,
the
Ratnesh.
APIs are working here. I think all the APIs should work in your infra as well, the same API. Okay, so by the end of this session, I will share you the link from where you can get these folders and the notes where I have put in. Yep. Okay. So now you can see the postmans are also powerful. The only problem we have with the postman is that you you will not get the result or report in the format you are looking for. So such example, that if I want to get these information as a Excel sheet, or maybe as a text, or maybe as a maybe PDF format, or maybe any of the table format. So those things are not there, but yeah, obviously we can do with the programming like Python or any other script language. Great. So let's continue and let's see the slide deck. Let me go back to the slide deck. And you can see that we have the REST method, and the library. Here you can see that if you want to learn more about the API document, I'm going to surf this API document, and Sam has asked one question that where we can find those things. So let me quickly log into the vManage, and I can show you that you can go there and you can check the task. So what you need to do, first of all, log into the vManage, and then you have to go and check the API documents. So I'm logging in to the vManage with the credential, and once we are inside the vManage, then we can go and check the API doc. So next time I can go here and check the API doc. It's coming, it's a little bit slow and it's loading. I can see here that with the GUI it is loading. Sometimes if you have slow internet or slow VPN connectivity, you'll find it's very difficult to manage things from the GUI itself, because it has to load and then it has to um, take the instructions. So still it is loading. Meanwhile, I'll go back, and here you can see that we have the API document where you can go and check the different type of API call. Now, few of the API calls are listed here in these slides. So the data service APIs, they are starting with data services. If you want to list the network devices, if you want to check the health status, CPU memory, so you have to go and use this string like this. And one nice thing here is that these API calls you can do from your browser as well. So browser is also working as a postman. So let me quickly show you this. If I can go to my Mozilla, and Mozilla is good. So if I can go to my web browser Mozilla, I can show you few of the outputs as well. You can get the JSON format. So let me quickly log into the vManage. Once I'm inside the vManage, it's loading. Then I can go and construct the API, and you can see the results there as well. So what is my API? My API is this. What I need to add here is the URL. So 198.168.1.10, and then the data service, device, hardware, and device ID. It is asking for any of the system IP. So one of the devices is 10.1.0.1. This is in data center 1, VH1. And now here you can see the result. I want to print the data field. So once you are printing the data field, you can see that we are getting the environment things related to DC1 VH1. So it is telling that hardware class, hardware item, because this device is virtual, so you're not getting power slots and other status. Now what you can do, you can go and check the other ID. You can go and check number 2, and for number 2 here you can see. Then you can go and check any of the branch device. So I have one 10.3.0.1. That's a CH we have in the branch. And there is no information for that branch device. Then I can go and check 10.3.0.2. Let's see. So there is no data available for that. Maybe that device is down or some other status. But you can see that the API calls you can do from your web browsers as well. Now you may think that then what is the use of this Postman? Postman is advanced version for, or advanced thing for do the API queries. You have so many different options. So if you go here and check the method, You can see get, post, put, patch, delete, copy, hit. There are good amount of options are there, and not only the good amount of options, but it is going to give you the other formats, other methods as well. Like if you want to do some configuration, if you want to update, get, simply go here and click post, and then you will get different options here, like header format and other query formats, etc. Okay, but at least the get things you can quickly check from your from your Mozilla browser as well. Now we are inside the device. I can go and show you the API docs. So let me log into the API document. You can see that what link I have used for that. So vManage IP and the API doc. It's still coming up. So it came, and now you can see that what are the things you can do, what are the tasks you can perform. For those things and tasks, you have these APIs. For capacity, you can go and check the capacity. Capacity use, max devices allowed, total vManage is like that. You can go and click try it out. And here you can see the result now. Response code is 403. That's not good. So it is telling that you have some issue running with this API. And that's why when you will use proper authentication, you can use these things easily with the programming integration. Let me show you something that will work. So if I go and check the real-time monitoring, you can see the long list of configurations and all those things are there. So let me quickly go to the real-time monitoring and let me show you a few of the things. So for example, ARP. Get the ARP. The input is required, one of the device ID. It is asking about the device ID, and the description is system address. That's good. Now you can go here and click try it out, and then you can see straight away the result here. So this is your data, correct? So I have shown you actually three methods. One, you can go to the SD-WAN site and you can use this Swagger interface. This is nothing but known as a Swagger API interface. So you can use this Swagger API interface, or the same API. If you have the API, you can copy that particular API and then you can use inside the web browser. So I can go here and I can use here inside the web browser like this. The third option that we have checked first is that you can go and create your API here and then you can use it. Now suppose I have to create a new API which is not listed here. I don't want to disturb this folder, so I'll do one thing. I'll go and create new collection, new SD-WAN. So here you can see new SD-WAN, and now in this new SD-WAN I want to add something. So I want to add request. What's the request we have? This. Now this request that you are seeing here is not fully in the variable format. So what I can do here, that I can go here and I can create the variables. So you can go here and you can use the parenthesis that you have. So let me go and use the curly braces here and here. And while I'm doing this hard work, even we can go and do the copy as well. I just wanted the same name that we have in the back. So this is vManage IP. And then we can go here and we can go here. So we are just creating this as a variable. I can go and give the port. So we have the vManage, we have the port, and this device ID. We are putting the value here, but this also you can create as a variable. So it will ask you what user input you are looking for. So now you can see that inside the folder, I have one method called get, and in this get method, I have this method. But what's the variable? The variable is correct. And now if I click send, request URL is empty. So I should copy this guy here and we should put here and then click send. So now you can see that value is coming here. Now this also you can make as a variable as I told you, but again you have to feed it inside the environment variable. If I scroll a little bit up, here you can see that you have the header and you should have the data as well. If I scroll down, so I don't want this header, so let me go and remove this header. Means let me minimize this header at least. So I can go here and I have minimized the header. Now you can see the data field is starting from here. The same output you can see there in the web browser as well, but you can see the output. Good amount of information we have. So we have constructed one of the API and we have put inside the inside our vManage, and you can see that how it is. Correct? So this also you can create your own custom made APIs. You can check here. So you have one Postman and where you have n number of APIs you have collected, and you can go and check the result. Okay, so this video is going to be very useful. You can watch this and you can do what operations I am doing straight away uh, from each and every places. Correct? Okay, guys, you have any follow-up
Right.
question? Continue. So where we are, let's go back to our slide. And the slide I'm going to share with these slides, you can see here, there are so many things. You can go and create your own APIs and you can check inside the Postman. So you can take this as a task. What you have to do, you have to go and create your own request, and then you can go and put inside the API. So again, I'll go and put this and how it is. So let me write, or better if I can copy this guy here. You can see this is your variable or something. You can add request like this, add request, and then you can go and put like I'm putting here, and then you can, oops, seems it hadn't copied, but no problem. You can go and like you can use like this. So and then give the port and give the slash, and then here put the vManage, and here you can go and put the port. Okay, and then data service, and then you should have give the system IP address that anyways if you want to make as a variable, you can go and create this also as a variable. Now this particular API is going to give you the OMP peers. So now I have one more here, and on top you can see that is related to OMP peer, and simply, so this time I will copy this whatever we have on the top. I just wanted to copy and paste here inside the get with variables, and then we will see that our environment variable is fitting those information or not. Okay, so since I'm not able to copy, but no problem, I'll go ahead and write one more time. So I have this and I have this. I have the vManage, and then I have the port information, and I should give slash here. So you can see that your URL, port number, data service OMP, and this also we can make as a variable, but since we haven't defined this in the environment variable, you have to define it. So first of all, go here and make this as a variable like this. So you can see it become red, and the bottom you can see it is asking about the system IP address. Now you can go here where you have your variable defined. You can go here and you can add. So what you can do, you can just press tab button, and it will add a new field here. Add new variable, say what's the name, let me copy. The name is system IP address, so I can go and copy this. You can go here and you can put here system IP variable. You can see the new field has come, and 10.1.0.1 and 10.1.0.1. I can update this. So my variable is set. You can see everything is variable. I can send this. Sending the request. 10101 is not found. Wow. OMPPS. That's correct. We manage port. Let's see the variables. So what is there? You can see that we have correct vmanage, we have the username password, we have the token, we have the system IP. That means it should work. Let me try to send one more time. Okay, it is not working, no problem. I'll do one quick thing here. And 10.10. It should not be like this. Let me see. Okay, so some problem related to these fields here. That's okay. Port is okay. Okay, so let's check this in the GUI, in here in the web browser. Why this is not working? It should work. And let me go back here and give the values. And that's it, 198.181.10. I can see that it is generating the value here, but it is not generating the value here. Why? You can tell me the reason, any reason? Maybe the token got expired or something?
It could be a reason that also.
Yeah, so we'll check this now. Let's try to check that why it is not working here.
Or, or, or can we try with other system IP whether it will show or not?
10102. It's telling
There
that
might be
no
token issue.
was found here. Now here we haven't done any authentication or authorization. The token we have generated for him. Now what we can do here is that let me show you this thing. So this guy, if I can move a little bit up, so you can move this. Okay, I'll move here, and let me see the token, and let's see. So 11F711F, that's okay. Now if we go here and if we let's see, but I'll make this as a variable, so I can go and use this variable, use other variable as well. And then the data service device OMP peer, and then the device ID equal to the system IP, correct? So you can see that while I'm doing this, in the bottom, you can see those fields are created by the postman. And I can go and give vmanage here, and I can go and give the port here. So automatically from the variable, it is taking port as 443, and it is taking the vmanage as 198.181.10, and the system IP is taking 10.1.0.1. You can see these values they are getting from the uh, variable, the environment variable itself. See, session token filter, token provided by ST2 did not match by. See, we have the token issue. So what we can do here is that we can actually put the token from here also. We have that option to go and put the token here as well. So key and value, I think here we can put, but anyways, I'll do one thing. I'll go and generate new token. I don't want this token to be used anymore. So let's go to the authentication. Let's see. Let's try to generate new token, and let's put these new token there. So this token that I am generating is not changing. It should change. Otherwise, we have to go here to the key field, key and value, we can put it. Okay, so let's do it. I can copy this and I can go to the place here, put this key value set. There is some issue. You can go and delete this line. Okay, and let me quickly see here that bearer token. You can see here token is this. Oops, this is different seems. Yep, this is okay. Hmm. Okay. That's the problem with the postman. It's not problem with us, this is the problem with the postman. Okay, so let's try one more time, and as a token that we have is having some issue, and I'm trying to update that, but it is not getting updated. Meanwhile, I'm doing the troubleshooting. You guys have any other question?
Things like that URL, no? You are getting that for APIs.
Mhm.
Those APIs you are getting from directly from vmin that vmanage IP/API docs. There only we will get it. Or
Yes, that's the source. From there you will get it. Yep.
okay, okay.
So you can see the link here and the API doc, and from here you will get all those links. So if I go and search with OMP, you will get so many inbuilt APIs related to OMP, and from there you will get it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
got it.
yeah, so our aim is not to focus more on the postman, but uh, the thing is that quickly you can go and check the result, and then those things we can use inside our Python programming. Okay, Sam, you're there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so let's troubleshoot this for 5 minutes and then I'm going to give you guys some task. So task will be that you can install the Postman, and then I'm going to share you the folder as well from where you'll get this folder. You have to upload the folder and then you can go and test it. Now, if you want to test this in your production network, then in your production laptop that you have, you can do the same thing and you have to change the environment variable as per your production network. Okay, and that's it. It should work. So let's try to do the
Okay.
troubleshooting. Yeah, let's try to do the troubleshooting of this thing. Clearly it is telling that due to the tokens, I'm not working. So you have to go and check the tokens. Now by mistake, I've done some changes there. So I can see the token. Let's generate the token and put here. Okay. So I can go here and I don't want this, so I need to remove this and I want to put new token, or I want to generate new token. Okay, if I go here and if I check the vManage, that's correct. Port is correct. Everything is correct. And if you go and check the authentication, vManage and the port, that's also correct. If we do the authentication, post is not supported with this method. That's okay. If we go and generate the token, why it is not changing the token? It should change the token, but it is not changing it. You can click here, you can copy. Let's go back. I know the quick fix for this. We'll try to do that also. Update this, things are updated. We can go here and then we can run this. It has some issue related to this. So if you go to the method in detail, let's try to add some more information. So I can go and add basic. You can see the basic password is inherited. If I go and check the API key, the key and value that we don't need at this point of time. Then you have the BLA token. This is the token we are using. The AAF, that's 100% correct. And that's it. Only these things we need. Rest of the things should come automatically. Then in header, you can see that 8 different fields here. And in the header body, again, you can see so many fields. Now, if you can go and check, all these informations are preloaded. We have this session ID, that's okay. So I think everything is correct, but it's still we are not getting the results. So I'll do one quick fix here. We can go to the second variable. So you can see here I'm using this variable. Let's see. This guy here, his IP is different. And I will do one thing. Once you are here, you have all the options to do any type of changes. I can go here and I can delete this guy from the list. Then I left with this option. I can go and change the IP 198.168.1.10 admin. Username is correct and the password should be admin. Port I want to use 443, and then we need the token that we don't have. So this guy and so many Cisco variables are there. Now we'll go here and come on, generate some new token. Still it is generating the same one, old one. We'll go back and I can put the token here. This is okay. Then we can go here and let's check this. The system IP. Either we can give inside the variable. So if I go here and click here, and if I can go give the system IP, what is the full name? So the full name is, let's see, system IP address. So you can go here and you can give system IP address 10.101, 10.101, and update, close and send it. Let's see, you can see 403, that means not correct. So it has some issue related to token. I'll check this later and I'll show you this thing probably tomorrow, that why it is generating this error. Meanwhile, if you guys have any question, please feel free to ask.